All right, everybody. Sorry about that. I just had to plug my mic in. So it looks like we have some decent spoilers here for Double Masters. I didn't really go over it that much the past week. I think it's appropriate to wait, maybe like give it a few days before you go over spoilers, especially for just reprint cards that everybody already knows about. See, we got good old Will Tactics here. Yo, Void, how's it going, buddy? Yeah, I'll wait for some people to show up. I apologize that I haven't been able to stream that much in the last 2 weeks. That's mostly because I had to get a replacement for my laptop battery. I've been meaning to get a desktop. That's like the next big purchase I make. Once I get that, I really shouldn't have any problems with live streaming. I actually take really good care of my laptop too, but I didn't realize that it's been a few years. And usually the batteries on laptops go from like 2 to 4 years, and then you have to replace them. No way in hell am I gonna get a brand new laptop. That's just way too much money. I would just invest in a desktop. Got Kieran Heaton here. Sup Void, great content. Thank you so much. So yeah, let me just remove myself from the solo layout, and I'm just gonna go over all of them. So yeah, if you guys haven't seen some of these earlier spoilers, and it's probably going to be good for you to just, stick around. If not, I'll go over the newer stuff latest. Got Legendary MTG Kid. How's it going? All right, so hopefully for replayability purposes, I guess I should just get right into it. Here we have all of the islands, or the plains, islands, swamps, mountains, and forests. They're all going to be full art, and this is from, I believe, Unhinged. Or Unglued, or one of those unsets. Amazing artwork. These look really cool. So I especially love the forest. The forest was always my favorite. And again, I mean, full art lands, they're more just, I guess, a novelty now. Not so much like an old school, like the collector's items that they used to be, Everybody went crazy for those older, like, full art lands. Yeah, Jason says it's unhinged. So we get a Grim Lavamancer reprint, Champion at Lambholt, Thought Reflection, Boon Reflection, Expedition map. Not really that big of a deal. I mean, they're good cards, but not exactly Masters level reprint quality. Rex Sage with the newer artwork, Conjurer's Closet. Baleful Strix is a good one to reprint. And then Glimmer Void. Then we get a Blank Moth Nexus. Nothing real Nothing real special there. Magus of the Abyss. It's a cool card, but not one people were looking for. Get a Wormcoil Engine. That's definitely one. As far as like reprints go, I think Wormcoil Engine has always been a pretty devastating card. A lot of people considered it a Titan because I think around the time, like Scars of Mirrodin, you also had like Sun Titan, all the other Titans. And it's always been one of my favorite cards. I think it's just a cool card. It dies, you get 2 tokens. They basically like make up half. Get the one half with the Death Touch and the other half with the Lifelink. Got a $5 super chat by Will Tactics. What do you think of Canlander? Seems like everyone at my LGS has moved on from EDH. Canlander seems to be the new hotness. I've never heard that before. Again, I've been out of the loop here. Let me look this up. Oh, Canadian Highlander. I guess I can just read it off here. Canadian Highlander is a 100-card singleton 1v1 competitive MTG format that utilizes points lists alongside the vintage ban list. There are no sideboards. Each deck must contain a minimum of 100 cards and contain no more than one of any given card. The exception to this rule are basic lands and cards that explicitly state that any number may be played. Each deck may contain no more than 10 points. You can find the points here. Okay. So instead of like a ban list, you have like a max points. So like each card, I guess that's a really cool way to balance out the power. I'll have to look into that. Thank you for telling me, Will Tactics. And yeah, apparently some other people haven't even heard of it. Yeah, I love yeah, going back to worm coil engine. As far as like the Canadian Highlander idea though, Will, that sounds like a really cool version of Commander. Like instead of saying like, okay, everything, like you have a ban list, you have something that's probably never going to see the light of day again. That's just worth a lot of points. So it seems that in order to play it, you would also have to sacrifice maybe playing some other really broken cards. That's actually a really good way. Very creative way of balancing out the format. But anyway, so we have Urza's Tower getting a reprint. So if you want to go for like the Tron lands, right? Oh, you get all three of them. Urza's Power Plant, Urza's Mine, and you get Karn Liberated. Very, very good reprints there. Jace the Mind Sculptor. I don't know how exactly I really feel about any of the like the Masters cards like getting reprinted. Because if you go back to Modern Masters, the first one, it seemed like it had its own identity. Like you knew exactly the cards that were getting reprinted, and some of them were such a big deal, you know. Now it seems like we're just getting reprints from other Master sets. You know, like we're getting the Karn, we're getting the Jace again. So it doesn't really seem to be as unique anymore. Not saying it's going to be a bad set, but I don't know. I think there's just an oversaturation, a slight oversaturation of reprint sets. Sunforger, not really that big of a deal. Sword of War and Peace, always nice to get these swords reprinted. People always go after them for equipment decks. And again, I don't really play any of these individually. I think it's just, you know, a good card to have in equipment decks. Sculpting Steel is a great card, not super expensive though. Same thing with Sharum the Hegemon. Terastodon's always a nice creature. We get Exploration. Engineered Explosives getting a reprint is also pretty cool. And Lux Cannon. I remember first playing Atraxa and trying to combo with Lux Cannon, and remembering it being a lot harder than it was, or what it was supposed to be. You know, it was supposed to be this very efficient removal. Uh, okay, yeah. So like how Warhammer 40K has points moving it to Commander. Yeah, Warhammer. It's a good example of that. Uh, I'm just gonna periodically just check the chat here, like every few minutes. Hi, Commander Void. Super happy that you're making content again. Been watching your videos for quite some time. Always enjoyed your videos for your honest opinion on things. Thanks for coming back. You got it, Deadpool. Yeah, I try to be, you know, try to be down to earth about a lot of this stuff. Got Risk the Redeemed. Is this the first reprinting? I think it is. Very interesting commander. I think back, you know, 2014, 2015, very popular token commander that I just don't see that much anymore. Stonehewer Giant is a very good reprint. I think the last time it was reprinted was the original Modern Masters. So very good. Flicker Wisp, Blade Splicer, Sphinx Summoner, not really much to talk about. They're okay cards, but not a lot of value. Austere Command, been reprinted a bunch now, I think. So you know, good card, just not as expensive as it used to be. Sneak Attack, kind of the same thing. I remember it being this super expensive card, and you know, you go for the reprints. I don't think it's quite as expensive. Noble Hierarch, that's another big one. I remember Modern Masters 2015. This was a big selling point. You could get yourself a Noble Hierarch, and very good. And Voice of Resurgence, also another card I think. I mean, obviously, it's been quite some time since 2013, 2014, when Voice of Resurgence was, you know, one of the best cards in the world, but it's still good. I like it. Cyclonic Rift, can't go wrong with one of the best blue spells ever made. Heat Shimmer, really cool card. If you like, what was the Zada Hedron Grinder. Very cool card to have in that deck. If you like copying instants and sorceries or just manipulating your token count. Arkham Dagson. Wow. I know some people, let's see here. Yeah, I apologize not mentioning the mystery booster. I just don't really consider it. I mean, if everything's getting a reprint in mystery, I don't. It doesn't quite have the same effect as just making, like an actual set filled with reprints. You're more likely to get any of these than just some random card in a mystery booster, right? So, yeah, I didn't really quite get into that. But again, it's one of those things that I was absent for. So, who am I to judge? We have Trash for Treasure, which is always a good card. But again, not necessarily that valuable. We have Kragenwick Cremator, kind of the same deal, I guess, and Bosch Iron Golem. So you get some artifact love here, especially if you like mono red artifacts. Bosch Iron Golem is a pretty underrated budget commander. A lot of cool things you can do with that deck. Then we get Breya Ethereum Shaper. Breya is, well, you can't do 1v1 commander with Breya. In like dual commander, you can't do that. She's banned. But she's quite the pain to have to deal with in a normal commander game. So her getting a reprint, I guess, is necessary. She's not a cheap card either, from what I remember. Thirst for Knowledge, good card. Path, Doom Necromancer, all good cards. I don't think they're super expensive. Path especially has been reprinted a million times. Skitharix, the Blight Dragon. Now that is a card. Again, I'm not an expert on how many times these cards have been reprinted, but from what I remember, Skitharix was a very expensive card. Very expensive. Of course, the next one isn't much cheaper. Dark Confidant. Dark Confidant is, for competitive EDH, it's everywhere. Very good card. But, obviously, it's just a good card in general. You have Vampire Hexmage, underrated card. I think the format where it was just like Planeswalkers. Very good card. You can pretty much one-shot a Planeswalker. Dark Depths and Thespian Stage. I love how these two cards are right next to each other. No reason at all. Alrighty, let's see what you guys have to say. What do you feel about the price? How do I feel about the price of the set? I'll have to see. I don't know exactly the price, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's like 200, 250 to 300. The price is too much. I'm probably not going to buy it. Yeah, the professor, he does a lot of those "Is it worth it" videos. I haven't watched the professor in a while. I don't really watch that much Magic YouTube, and I think the last channel I really got into was Commander Versus, and they're doing like an online, sort of like a Zoom meeting kind of play style, or like format for their weekly show. I'm not a big fan of it. It's definitely it's a struggling experience, I suppose, having to do that over the internet. With Council's Judgment, very good reprint. Probably one of the best removal spells in white for Commander. And it hasn't really been reprinted. Council's Judgment, very good card. You get Crop Rotation, Wrath of God. Ooh, we get a Meddling Mage. We get Vengevine as a mythic. Wow. So I guess if you like Modern, you get another Vengevine here. Treasure Mage, Sundering Titan. Sundering Titan. Wasn't that reprinted in Masters 25? Because I remember that was like the one rare that nobody wanted, because it wasn't exactly good in any real format. Academy Ruins, brilliant reprint. Awesome. I included it in pretty much every artifact deck that can play blue. It's, what is it, Volrath Stronghold. just for artifacts. That's pretty cool. Trinisphere. As long as Trinisphere is untapped, each spell that would cost less than 3 mana costs 3 mana to cast. Good for stacks decks. Keep your opponent locked out of games. You get some lands. Ooh, wow, you get the filter lands. Nice. Very cool. Rolling Earthquake, Blasphemous Act, my personal, one of my personal favorite cards in red. It's close up there. I mean, I love Possibility Storm, but as far as efficiency, I probably put Blasphemous Act in most of my red decks, more than any other red card. Court of Calling, and we get Thraben Inspector and Valorous Stance. Get the Pyrite, Spellbomb, a Mishra's Bauble. Remember when Mishra's Bauble was super expensive? This is like a second or third reprinting. Gets Auriok Salvagers, a good combo card. Beacon of Unrest. This is the newer artwork that came out a couple years ago. Get Mox Opal. Mox Opal getting another reprint. This card is super expensive, so I'm glad it's getting a reprint. Get this empty space here. What could this mean? What could this empty space here mean, guys? It says Twitch TV. I don't trust it. Phyrexian Metamorph. Awesome reprint, too. This is one I always remember. Not really getting a reprint and wondering why, because it's so good in Commander. And then you saw the Clever Impersonator in Khans of Tarkir, and you're like, well, this is amazing. And you probably would just expect those cards to get reprinted often because of their usefulness in the format. Kuldotha Forge Master, awesome card. You can combo with it. Tutors are always pretty good in the Commander format, but this one, it's reusable. It's on a creature, so it's very cool. And, sacrificing 3 artifacts isn't really hard to do. Duplicate, Mirror Battlesphere, good staples. Master Transmuter, though. Wow. Again, you have so many combo options, combo potential. Speaking of combo potential, you have Godo, Bandit, Warlord. That card is pretty fun with the Helm from Dominaria that copies another creature if it's legendary. So you can combo off with that pretty easily. Sword of Fire and Ice, you get another sword. Masterwork of Ingenuity, so you can copy a sword. And Hammer of Nazan. It's kind of weird to see reprints from a lot of these Commander sets. Don't you think? Commander sets, you kind of felt like, well, if they're going to be reprinted, it's just going to be reprinted in another Commander set. It's always weird to me. So Thragtusk, always a good green creature, but in this set, it's a bulk rare. Greater good card, but another reprinting. I don't think it's going to be super expensive. Kemba Ka Regent, great commander. So many fun memories. Geist of St. Traft, another pretty interesting commander option. I don't think so much anymore, but gosh, I remember this card being really good. Then we have Reshape. Now this card definitely, this one definitely needed a reprint. Yeah, Mishra's Bauble, very good uncommon. Wayfarer's Baubles, it's just a common. I think it got reprinted a bunch of times. I don't think it's super expensive. I never realized that Master Transmuter was Brea until last night. Really? Master Transmuter is just Brea? Wow. I guess so. Yeah, they look alike. Brea decks fully optimized for artifacts are insane. And yeah, Geist of St. Traft used to be such a powerful commander. But a lot has changed. I remember everybody played like a few different, like they played only a few commanders because this is back when Commander first started. And I remember it just being like Animar decks, uh, Gave Guru of Spores, and Kalia. And you saw some other ones that were not in commander sets like Geist and even the Praetors too. Like the Praetors are really fun to play as commanders early on. Now they're kind of, I don't know. There's a lot that can, there's a lot that can really compete with them. So Reshape, very good reprint. Master of Ethereum, also a good card that used to be a lot more expensive a while ago, but it got reprinted in Commander 2016, and I think the value just tanked after that. Walking Ballista getting a reprint. A lot of people love that, I'm sure. Basilisk Collar, Death Touch, and Lifelink. Always love the tricks you can do with Basilisk Collar, just giving a creature Death Touch, especially if it can deal a damage to something. Very cool interaction. Grand Architect, the combo creature. I think Pili Pala, whatever it's called, and Grand Architect. I think that's a combo. And Force of Will. Force of Will with the Therese Nielsen artwork, which she's no longer going to be doing artwork for Magic, which I think is pretty sad. So, you do get a Force of Will. Very, very important card to have in Legacy. Well of Ideas, very good. This card came out in Commander 2014, for the people that don't know. And I always thought it was an underrated card to have in something like Nekusar, because it's like a Howling Mine, but times two, or times two for yourself. It's just a normal Howling Mine for everybody else. It enters and then you draw two cards. So you're very good enchantment. It's 6 mana, so I guess some people stayed away for that reason. We get Braids, Conjurer Adept. I think everybody knows about that though. You get Heartbeat of Spring, the mana doubler. Get Disciple of the Vault, which is very important for some of those Breya decks, some of those artifact combo decks with Sharum the Hegemon. If you love those combos, you can. This is basically the Blood Artist for artifact decks, acting as some kind of damage inflictor, life loss inflictor for your infinite combos. Cranial Plating, Joyra Weatherlight Captain. Wow. So she's getting a reprint. I don't really think she, I don't know. She's a good commander. Definitely one if you want to go and combo off early. Joyra can be pretty deadly. We have Manamorphose, amazing card. I think it needed a reprint, but not necessarily for commander. We have Chrome Mox in a weird language. Oh, it's German. I just looked at the name. I'm like, I don't recognize the language. But yeah, Chrome Mox needed a reprint. I'm blanking on the name, but it's sort of like an artifact stacks card creature. You get Land Tax. Land Tax, very good card to reprint. Is this Dread Return? Not a super expensive card, but very important. Brutaclad, Telcor Engineer. Very underrated commander. I've had so much fun just fooling around with all the token possibilities. Oh, you guys can't see it? I can make the screen larger. How about that? Yeah. So I'm just going over these pretty quickly. I'm not going over in depth. And these are reprints, so I think most of us know them, right? But yeah, as I was saying, Brutaclad, very underrated commander option. A lot of game-winning blowouts. So definitely, if you want to make a fun deck, I can personally recommend Brutaclad. Salvage Titan. I don't know if I've seen this card before. Exile 3 artifact cards from your graveyard. Return Salvage Titan from your graveyard to your hand. I don't really see that being... I don't know. I've never seen it before in Commander. Pentad Prism, Darksteel Citadel, Treasure Keeper, Throne of Geth. Endless Atlas is a good one. If you're in like mono white, you're looking for some more card draw, I can recommend Endless Atlas. Adaptive Automaton. Got Spell Skite, a favorite for a lot of people. If you want to play more competitively, you can also protect your commander this way. Phyrexian Revoker. This was back in, what was it? Commander 2014, something like that. I always thought this card was going to be a lot better than what it ended up being. Shamanic Revelation, very good draw spell in green. Ion Storm. Magus of the Will. It looks like we're going to see some pretty fuzzy images. But Magus of the Wheel, I think, kind of a disappointing card. It's based on one of the most powerful black spells, but not a lot of people play it. Disciple is banned in Modern. Yeah, for the artifact combos. Booster pack prices are bogus. Loving all the cards in the set, I just can't afford to get any of it. Yeah, Aethersworn Canonist was the white card. It's kind of like a stacks artifact. Awesome. Love my Brutaclad deck. One of the dirtiest things I remember doing was making a token copy of Fleet Swallower and then swinging with a bunch of those. Yeah. I think, what was it, the combo? It's the Exalted, or not Exalted. Isn't that what the mechanic was from Amonkhet? The one that it remains tapped, but when it attacks or something, then you get an extra turn or an extra combat. Something like that. It's fun to do that with that creature. And it's a red creature, 4 mana. Forget what it does, but you can make copies, token copies of that, and get extra combats and just keep swinging at players. And never really hurts to do that to a Blightsteel Colossus. Pretty much the only real value that I could have for a Blightsteel Colossus. I don't think it's that. It's a good card, but I mean, it's so telegraphed. I mean, everybody sees it coming. There's plenty of time to deal with it. So if you can make token copies of a Blightsteel Colossus, that card becomes really scary. We get Mazarek, Kraul, Death Priest, another very underrated commander option. Exerted is the mechanic from Amonkhet. That's Go Away Voices 13. Thank you so much. So it's the exerted mechanic where that creature, the red creature, exerts, and then you get an additional combat. I forget what this one's called, but it gets you like a 5/5 demon if a creature died. I never really liked it though. I see so many people they auto include it into some black decks, but it was never really my favorite. Erixmathes, the Slumbering Isle, very fun commander option. I'm sure a lot of people have had their fun with was it Commander 2018 when this came out? Stoneforge Mystic getting a reprint. And Oubliette. Wow. Oubliette. I had a friend telling me that this card wasn't going to get reprinted because it's was it color specific? When Oubliette enters the battlefield, target creature phases out until Oubliette leaves the battlefield. Tap that creature. Wait, what am I thinking of? Am I thinking of something else? Or did they just change the card altogether? It looks similar to what am I just going crazy here, or is that the same Oubliette that I'm thinking of? Enters the battlefield, target creature phases out until Oubliette leaves the battlefield. So it's like I'm guessing it's like an off-color ability. It's kind of like an Oblivion Ring. It's such a weird card. Wasn't this from like Arabian Nights? Oh yeah, I got an errata. Yeah, I remember it being really weird. Yeah, Falcon Wrath Aristocrat. This card's been reprinted a bunch. Okay, so they did change the text. I remember it from Arabian Nights being one of those weird cards. It was super expensive too, and not a bad card in Pauper. Swiftblade Vindicator, Open the Vaults, Eager Wellspring, Chromatic Star. These are pretty decent for Pauper. They're showing some Pauper love here, apparently. And Time Sieve, or Time Sieve, or however you pronounce that. It was always a weird word, but another combo. You know, you get some artifact combo cards in here. So if you're a big fan of combo artifact decks, yeah, they're giving you some love. Pure Steel Paladin, always a nice card to have in an artifact deck. Inkwell Leviathan, Unlicensed Disintegration. I'm going to try to read these off the best I can. I know they're kind of blurry and you guys aren't going to be able to see them. Chatter of the Squirrel. So it's a squirrel sorcery that you can flash it back and get another squirrel. I never really thought it was a good card. We get Hannah Ship's Navigator. So you get another artwork of that, I'm guessing, because maybe the Therese Nielsen one. Cascade Bluffs. So that's another one of the filter lands. Didn't we already see that? You get Springleaf Drum, another good Pauper card. Woodland Champion. Sphinx of the Guild Pact. Ooh, Darksteel Forge is a good reprint. Yeah, Time Sieve can go infinite. Very, very nasty card. I haven't seen many Time Sieve combos. And that's mostly because there's so many powerful cards now for artifact decks and Commander that it seems like just getting extra turns isn't necessarily the only way to win quickly. I think most people would just prefer to deal infinite damage with Breya. So you get Esperzoa, get Hinder. What does that say? Iron Bully, Supernatural Stamina, Mirror Smith, Tempered Steel, Might of the Masses. So we get a lot of uncommons here. Nothing super special. Magnifying Glass, Thopter Foundry, Russian Knowledge, Bolduvian Rage, Executioner's Capsule, Cathodian. Can't really make this one out, but it looks like a green card. Yeah, some of these you can't really see the name. This is Crushing Vines. Green instant that kills a flyer, probably. Darksteel Axe. Was it Driver of the Dead? Elvish Aberration. Metal Spinner's Puzzle Knot. Skinwing. Strength of Arms. Vidalcan Infuser. I'll focus on a card if I think it's a really big card, but most of these are just commons. Heartless Pillage, Weapon Surge, Ancestral Blade, some other card I can't really see the title of, or the name of. Ash Barons getting another reprint, Fetid Heath, Maelstrom Nexus. I can't really make that name out. And what is this? Something Gauntlets. Get the wall. Was it gleaming wall, gleaming something, gleaming barrier, fatal push, and Send Triplets getting a reprint. Wow. Send Triplets. I think that was another Commander, like back in 7 years ago, back when Commander was really popping off, and Send Triplets being incredibly annoying to have to deal with. Because I think another very popular Commander at the time, Aloro, was right in the same colors. So you had to deal with a million Aloro decks in addition to having to deal with the Send Triplets decks. I guess maybe it helped balance things out, but I just remember it being really annoying. If Tuk Tuk the Explorer, Archangel Athune, very good reprint. Liege of the Tangle. I really like that card. I like the elemental strategies you can do with that and this card, Avenger of Zendikar. Lightning Greaves. This is a cool looking art. Everybody knows what Lightning Greaves does. I guess we're just seeing these alternate extended art cards. Death's Shadow. Get a Brainstorm. Wow, that's really cool. Get Mana Reflection, Basalt Monolith. Wow. Goblin Guide and Blood Moon. Extended art. Sure, a lot of people, they're going to spend some money on this set. Yeah, the Brainstorm looks really cool. Get Hidden Stockpile. That's a good card in some Aristocrat decks. And Vish Cal, Blood Arbiter. Vish Cal is another really cool, underrated commander for like +1/+1 counter strategies. Very interesting, too. I remember watching a game of Commander versus, I think, was it Justin? Justin played a Vish Cal, and it was so cool. Such a cool looking deck. But anyway, guys, that looks like we're all caught up here. I could just refresh it again just to see if there's any more. Nope, that looks like it for July 27th. We might have some more later in the day, but I could always go over that tomorrow or the day after. Anyway, I'm just going to exit out of this. So they reprinted Descend triplets, and yeah, the Mystery Booster, from what I hear, reprinted a lot of good cards. A lot of cool stuff. Wait till you see the Blood Moon art. Yeah, definitely. That's another thing too. That looked like a Loro for a second. Vish Cal always gets confused for a Loro because they're sitting in like some gigantic stone throne, and it looks they're in like the same pose. They're leaning back, sort of hunched over a little bit. You know, they're both like giant. You know, one's a vampire though. Yeah, Majora's Mask, that game. The default Blood Moon has been spoiled as well. So yeah, you get what was it, the actual artwork? I don't know if I can see that on Mythic Spoiler. Yeah, no Crypt. I bought 2 boxes of Mystery Booster, pulled a Demonic Tutor. So a Young Throne. The set in the past few ones have been Reprint Heaven. Yeah, Core Set 21 and Jumpstart. Nothing but reprints. I don't know. I've never really been the biggest fan of like oversaturation, like with reprints. Kind of the same deal with Planeswalkers. You know, too much of a good thing isn't necessarily a good thing. But I guess we are in a situation where people need a reason to buy these. So I guess if you want to encourage people to get back out to game stores and maybe spend some money during the lockdowns, if you're still experiencing a lockdown, you should totally still go to your local game store and try to support them in some way. I know it's difficult. You can't really have the same events that you used to, but I think some game stores are doing like curbside orders and stuff, so you can buy something through like a message, and you just go outside for the transaction, and they give you your stuff. So it's difficult, but that's how some people are surviving. But it's a difficult time for everybody. Anyway, I guess you guys, you know, let me know what you think about with Double Masters. It's such a weird name. Was it like double the good stuff? Yeah, my $3,000 cards are worth like 1,000 or less now. Yeah, reprints, that's another reason. We have, what was it? The reserve list. We have the reserve list, so there's certain cards that are protected. And that's what I did. I had about $500 in store credit. I don't know if I told the story yet, but I had $500 in store credit at my local game store. And the whole corona thing happened. It happened back in like late February, early March. Suddenly all the lockdowns are happening and there's no way. When everybody's panicking, that's when it really started and everybody's like you can't even go outside. If you get this, I mean, you're as good as dead, right? So there's no way I'm going out into a public place, especially a place where people frequently touch each other's stuff. So I mean that happens all the time in Commander. So there was no way in hell I was going to go to an LGS, like even risk it for $500 in store credit. So recently, I think last week, I met up with the store owner. He's had some difficult times. He's he's trying to contact people that still have store credit, and he's had to go out of his way to meet people, and he followed through with me. He made sure that my store credit was, he gave me my values worth. I asked for, what was it, Underground Sea, and I guess a commander deck. I got a precon deck just to catch up. So if I recommend anything, just invest in reserve list stuff because it has a much lower chance of losing value unless the game altogether just loses value. Yeah, I don't really invest in modern. I know a lot of people that invest in modern, but you have to be more proactive. You have to constantly seek out trade stuff. You have to get your values worth, and you always have to sell. Always have to sell and buy. It just forces you to be. You have to be more active. Yeah, even better. Don't invest in cards. Just invest in the stock market. Um, yeah, invest in was it precious metals, things that people have invested in for a long time. Whatever's rare, whatever's a resource, gold, silver, I guess now even copper to a degree. And it's kind of funny too because magic is, pretty much the stock market. So I can understand why a lot of people would want to they'd want to treat it like such. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this live stream. I enjoyed going over some of these spoilers, and I think the Zendikar set coming out in the fall, that's right around the corner. Spoilers for that. Yeah, I mean, stock market, treating the game like the stock market. I'm more of like a magic playing enthusiast. I know a lot of people that are just collectors. I've been in it for the game, for the experience. Pro tip, invest in cards you specifically like so that if they tank in price, you can still put them to use. That's another thing too. Just get cards you really like that you're always going to play with. I do that with certain cards I always play with and I don't really care if they lose value because I'm not always in it to make an easy buck. But yeah, you guys have a good one here. Void signing off. See you all next time.